Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. And the title of my presentation is Why Gender-Sensitive Disaster Risk Reduction Should Also Include LGBTs. And this is a joint presentation between myself from the Gender in Disaster Network and J.C. Gillard from the University of Auckland in New Zealand. So who are the LGBTs? First, let's define the acronym. It stands for lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender. And sometimes you'll see they're referred to as LGBTIQ, LGBTs plus intersex and or queer. And why do we have to include them? Because they too have different needs, capacities, and rights. And their rights are enshrined in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which says that all human beings are born equal in dignity and rights. And Article 2, which says universal dignity of a life free from discrimination. And if you've heard of the Yogyakarta Principles on the application of international human rights law in relation to sexual orientation and gender identity, it affirms the primary obligations of the states to uphold human rights, and it's in 3 principles. Principle 13 is the right to social security and other social protection measures. Despite those agreements, these are what we see often in the news. The Aravanis are transsexuals from India, and they said they ate leftovers thrown away by people living in the temporary shelters during the tsunami. And during the Katrina, there was a report about a transgender refugee. She took a shower, or he took a shower. She took a shower in a female toilet, and she got arrested because someone complained. And then there's anti-LGBT violence and discrimination in post-quake Haiti. But it's not, we shouldn't look at LGBTs as being just vulnerable and helpless victims in disasters. They too have capacities. They too have rights, just like us. So we'll be reporting insights from the Philippines and from Indonesia. So in the Philippines, the study that was conducted, LGBTs are often tasked to do dirty chores at home, and they're sometimes considered by their parents as second priority when they give them food or financial support. And they're frequently discriminated in evacuation centers. Of course, you'll have a male and female toilet, and then the LGBTs don't have that separate ablution for them. So they get discriminated during those times. But LGBTs take the lead in collecting relief goods and seeking support from government agencies and other groups, as has been found from the study. They also play a crucial role in providing support to the most vulnerable people in evacuation centers. They babysit, they clean up the evacuation centers. So in these pictures, that one is a gay group distributing relief goods after Typhoon Ondoy in the Philippines in 2009, and another lesbian organization after the typhoon in the Philippines. And some insights from Indonesia. LGBTs are strongly marginalized within the Indonesian society. It's a conservative society, as we all know. So the LGBTs had to seek shelter from their friends to avoid discrimination in public evacuation centers. So in this picture, there's a short story behind this. So initially, when the Waryas, that's what you call the LGBTs from Indonesia, when they went to this evacuation center, the people were reluctant to, engage with them. But eventually, they allowed them to, they were able to interact, and the Waryas gave haircut, which obviously helped during those times. This was when Mount Merapi erupted last year. And they have also organized a benefit show, the proceeds of which went to the affected people after the volcanic eruption. So ways forward for disaster risk reduction. Short term, DRR practice must recognize the particular needs and endogenous capacities of LGBTs, inherent capacities of LGBTs. So in this picture, the LGBT youth are involved in participatory mapping. This was in Erosin, Philippines in January 2010. And the short story behind this interesting story, the man at the back, the person at the back, he was a counselor when this picture was taken. And then 1 year later, he was asked to do a presentation about CBDRR among other barangay captains or village chief in the Philippines. And the thing is, among all the experiences he had in CBDRR, this is the one that stuck to his mind. So this is what he shared. He said that LGBTs actually participated in mapping, in 3D mapping. There's also a group of LGBTs from the Philippines who have created a Facebook group to advocate for climate justice. So they're very active. So in the long term, there is a need to institutionalize their recognition in the society. And it's of course essential to include LGBTs in policy and decision making towards a comprehensive, inclusive, and gender-sensitive DRR. That's it. So we can entertain questions. Hi. Questions? That was great.
I don't know which slide are you referring to, but you can
Yeah, I can just click it here. Are there any questions from the people? Yes, Ben.
Have groups in Indonesia or Philippines tried to engage faith communities as one set of social actors that are active in disaster and also disaster risk reduction, but also maybe among the more conservative, and is there that kind of dialogue going on, say with Catholic and Muslim leaders?
Yeah, interestingly, in the Philippines, the LGBTs are actually very much involved in church work. So there's acceptance in the church, although it's not formalized, because they still have to listen to the Holy See and the Vatican and whatnot. But at least in the Philippines, there is that interaction with conservative groups like the church. And JC will add on something?
Yeah, actually, the picture you saw on the slides, the one with the participatory mapping stuff, was actually conducted in the church. So we were working in the church with the LGBTs, and we ran the focus group discussion in the church, and the church people were aware about that, of course, and they were very pleased about that. There's no issue with LGBTs in church in the Philippines, indeed.
This is a multi-country study, exploratory research that we're doing. We're involving Mexico, Samoa, and Tonga in the study. So these are just the insights from the Philippines and Indonesia.
What's the legal status of LGBTs in those countries of the study? Are there a range of behaviors that are criminalized? What's the situation?
In the Philippines, same-sex marriage is still not recognized, although there's an lesbian and gay group which has been elected to public office in the Philippines. So there are bits and pieces of forward thinking, if I may say, but still not, like integrated. They're not because if you allow for same-sex marriage, then you have rights, benefits, you can access benefits and whatnot. But in the Philippines, no, it's not yet recognized.
Any other question? So can I ask something? Have you observed any difference in how the society considers the different groups among the umbrella of LGBTs, or it's just so? Have you observed any difference in the way the society refers to different groups of LGBTs, or they are just considered as one group of I don't know, not standard sexual behaviors, or is there a difference between gay, lesbians?
Well, in the Philippine case, for example, I think the gay men are more accepted in the society than gay women. So does that answer your question?
Yeah.
So there's that difference in terms of interaction. It's not as openly accepted. If I, for example, is a lesbian or a gay woman, I'm not, you know, I can have relationships and whatnot. People won't talk. But being a gay man is still more accepted, and we just don't know why. I think it's on the, you know, perception. How often do they see gay people? So it's more, you know, you can see more gay men being active in terms of DRR, in terms of daily stuff.
Yes, I'm sorry because I arrived at the end of your presentation, so my question might be resolved by your presentation, but how do you cross gender perspective, in your perspective, with social class factors? Do you treat LGBT as one social group, or do you treat it with differences of economic status?
We think that you know, social vulnerability intersects among like age, class, sexual orientation. So the LGBTs actually experience double marginalization. And because it's not just they're LGBTs, they can also be poor, they can also be uneducated, so that prevents them from accessing information and knowledge that could save their lives in terms of when disaster strikes. So we have to look at those nuances, really.
Just one more point. There's actually it's not, I think, a social class issue, but there's an age issue actually, because they are discriminated while being still at school. As long as they graduate and as long as they get a job and make a living for themselves, they are not any more discriminated as they are when they are at school. So that's why we are working basically with these young LGBTs. We have worked as well with older LGBTs, but the needs are stronger with the youth while they are at school, high school, sometimes elementary, and especially college, actually. And the second issue is that when you, in terms of interaction between them and the larger society, the point is that these groups, it works for LGBTs, it works for kids or elderly, etc. They know what their needs are, what their capacities are. The point is to have these needs and this capacity recognized by the outsiders, by the other people in the community. So what we do actually is to run FGDs only with them, to emphasize their needs, for them to be comfortable to talk about these issues. And then afterwards, we always bring them in front of the entire community for the others to recognize the needs from the outside perspective, and to witness that these people who are marginalized usually have something to contribute as well. So the point is the interaction between the inside and the outside. And it worked because, as Christine mentioned, when this was done a year and a half ago, and last January, a few months ago, when I was back there in that place, when we ran this consultation with all these village chiefs for having more activities in the place, what he mentioned was exactly that. Because he was struck by that, and it helped in having these capacities recognized and lessen mockeries, because they suffer from mockeries in evacuation centers especially. So it's a matter of inside-outside relationship.